Hey tea heads, this is Don from Mei Leaf and welcome to another episode of reviewing supermarket teas. You've probably seen these before, but if not, a quick recap. This is where I blind taste teas which have been kindly sent to us by tea heads around the world, purchased from their local supermarket. I know nothing about them and I try to score them all the way from 0 poison up to pinnacle tea, a score of 10, meaning that the tea is good enough to be selected as a Mei Leaf tea. I try to guess the price point, I try to guess the tea, and I give you my honest opinion about the tea. If it's a really good tea and it gets an 8 or above, then we'll shout out the brand name so that you can go and seek it out. But other than that, we won't mention any brand names apart from the supermarket. And today is a bit of an odd one because the supermarket is called Uwajimaya in Seattle, kindly sent to us by Genesis. Thank you, Genesis, for sending these over. However, Genesis, is Uwajimaya, does it count as a supermarket? So we've always said that in order for it to count as a supermarket, it needs to be able to sell all sorts of produce, including toilet paper and cat food. Now, I did take a sneaky peek at Uwajimaya's website. Don't worry, I didn't go to any tea section, just to check out what they do. They are a specialist Asian grocery store. I'm not sure if they sell cat food and toilet paper. Genesis, you'll have to let us know. I suspect that they don't. So this sort of falls under a different category. I'm not going to say that it's not fair to compare this with the other supermarket tea reviews that we've done. Let's call this like a subsection. We'll call this reviewing Asian supermarket tea or Asian grocery store tea because it is going to be different, and I would hope that the scores would be higher. So this is reviewing Asian supermarket, specialist supermarket tea. I'm excited because it probably means that these are going to be higher quality than your average supermarket tea. And it's worth saying from the outset, as we always do, that yes, I'm probably going to be critical of some teas, or I'm going to talk about it in a critical way. But this is really just to sort of give you my personal opinion about these teas, and hopefully to try to encourage the supermarket buyers to up their game and give more people more choice to better quality teas. And I have a very special guest joining us for this session. This here is Herb the Traveling Turtle. I'll put the Instagram moniker for this little fella here. This is this turtle was born in Kentucky, Richmond, Kentucky, and is traveling around the world to different tea heads. So this turtle is actually getting more traveling done than most of us currently with the COVID lockdowns, etc. So he is traveling around and being hosted by different tea heads around the world, and we are very privileged to welcome Herb. We've been enjoying sessions with Herb for a while now, and yes, we are going to be involving Herb in probably a more luxurious pinnacle session at some point. But you know, Herb, you're going to have to deal with what I deal with, and we have to deal with supermarket teas today. So you're going to be tasting some supermarket teas with me. The next video that we do with Herb, we'll probably do some sort of competition to see who gets Herb next. So Herb is here. We've got our supermarket teas kindly sent to us by Genesis from Uwajimaya, I believe is the name. Asian grocery store. Let's see. Tea number 1. I know nothing about these teas. And yes, as suspected, we have better quality tea. So that is pretty clearly a HR. Most probably, it's most probably a ripe PuErh, but I can see that it's straight edged here, and that's why I said ooh, because that probably means it comes from a brick. So it's a brick tea because of that straight edge. So it's a brick tea, HR, most probably ripe PuErh. I'm gonna try to not massacre this chunk and not break it too badly. I didn't bring any PuErh picks with me, not that I probably would have used them. Look at the leaves, look good. Looks like a nicely fermented ripe PuErh. It may be a Hunan brick tea, but I don't see any golden spores or anything that sort of looks a bit more, Hunan Fucha just has a sort of more granular look to it. These look like, you know, larger sort of leaf pickings. that's probably enough. I respect the fact, Genesis, that you didn't give me a whole load. The reason I say that is because, well, you know what, I might as well use the lot because there's not much here. Because oftentimes we're sort of, you know, left with large packets of supermarket tea that we don't really want to dip into again. But this looks different. This looks higher quality. I've already got hot water in this guy one, so Herb is gonna get a dousing with some hot water. I'm enjoying my sessions with Herb. We've been having little private sessions, me and Herb, and he's been going to taste some of the Mei Leaf teas that are incoming or that are being sourced. So Herb gets the privilege of tasting samples alongside. Okay, here we go. Let's see what this tea has in store for us. Smells good. Smells like a right PuErh. Not a huge amount of aroma, but let's give it a chance. Obviously, it needs to be hit with hot water. Generally quite smooth, very little in terms of any sort of fishiness, so I'm happy there. We don't have like a poor quality fermentation. Smells relatively clean, so it's probably been sitting for a few years, but not a massive amount of aromatics coming off this. Right, let's give this a good rinse. And I'm going to crank the temperature up to boiling point. Which Gong Bei? Let's go with this one here, because we want to see the colour of this liquor. I'm going to leave quite a large aperture here on my guy one because there's quite a few bits of dust in there naturally through the breaking of the cake, so we're going to try and sort of get rid of all of that. So we've got more of a sort of complete leaf here. Right, take a look at that. Looking good. I think you'll agree. You can see how slow that filter is at draining, so there was a fair amount of dust in there. Okay, here we go. Nice. Very nice. Got some of that celery top note. So that little bit of spice, a little bit of angelica root. It's got some Chinese apothecary wooden drawers and Chinese herbs. It's got pencil shaving note, which I'm not saying in a negative way. It's sort of got that a little bit resinous pencil shaving note. A tiny touch of carob and betel nut. All good notes, looking good, Genesis, and as suspected, this supermarket is higher quality than, well, head and shoulders above most supermarkets out there, because it is a specialist Asian supermarket. Okay, let's give this a brew. We got boiling point water here. Oh, I didn't give Herb any of the rinse. All right, Herb, you're gonna get some of this first infusion. How's everyone doing out there? Not quite sure when this video is going to be released, but hopefully when it's released, things are a bit more freed up and we've got a bit more hope in our lives. Yeah, it's still hard to drain this one. I'm going to be using this just to sort of clear out filter. So relatively dusty tea, this one. And I'm not saying dust as in dust, I'm saying tea dust. It's sort of quite broken. Again, not really something to criticize the tea about, because it, you know, through the fermentation process it does that. But I didn't really want to pour this unfiltered because it did look a bit murky. Right, let's take a little look at the color of this liquor. Beautiful color. Nice, a little bit cloudy, but very vibrant. Got a good sort of slightly sort of scarlet and amethyst sort of purples and reds in amongst all of those dark browns. Cups would have been good. I'll be back. Okay, we're back, and I have selected for myself a nice big Royale. So first of all, as promised, Herb, you get to taste this first. Not too much. but enough. What do you reckon? Any good? Jumping ahead of myself, just wanted to check. Okay, let's uncover this and let's see what this tastes like. Cheers, everybody. Positives first. Clean, smooth. Texture is nice. Texture is medium to thick. Soft. Very easy drinking. Could happily sip through this the whole day, no problem. And 0 in terms of sort of funky, weird notes, you know. Yeah, all good there. Criticisms. It's a bit boring. It's a bit yawn. It's not really saying anything to me. It's not really, putting forward any real character that I would say, oh, okay, this has got some sort of, I don't know, this has a real depth of herbaceousness, or has a rich, creamy note to it. It's sort of a little bit in the middle of everything. It's very middle ground. But as I said, very easy drinking. I'm going to brew it for longer. So slightly creamy, slightly antique woody, little bit of Chinese medicine herbs there. It tastes very, very like it's been stored well, relatively sort of dry storage. It's got no funk, but the problem is it's got no funk, if you know what I mean. It's sort of like, it's a little bit straight down the line. But credit where credit's due. Oftentimes in supermarkets, when you're tasting ripe PuErh teas, you are met with a pretty awful version of a ripened PuErh. This is certainly a well-produced blend ripe PuErh that is sort of blended to be very, very easy drinking, inoffensive, and generally nice. And I say that in both its positive and negative senses. Second infusion, a little bit of that pencil shaving is coming through, a little bit cardboardy, but nothing that is unpleasant. I'm just struggling to find any depth in it. The texture is very good on it. Creamy, soft and thick. Finish, clean, moving to a slightly sweet juiciness, but not a massive amount of sweetness. But it's there, a sweet juiciness. I'm getting those celery tops, and what I mean by that is those little baby leaves when you take a bunch of celery, the top of the celery where it's sprouting. There's a very sort of concentrated, slightly peppery, slightly herbal, like Chinese herbal note to it. But there's not much in terms of, like, you know, there's nothing that's really standing out that's making me think, wow, this is a specialty. It tastes like a well-made, factory blended, ripened PuErh that's probably, well, definitely a few years old, probably more than 4 or 5 years old, judging by the taste. It's got none of that Wodoi cooked, fermented taste to it. So that's aired out and the fermentation was done well. Yeah, it's a good tea. If I was at a Chinese restaurant and I asked for some ripened tea, some bole or some ripe PuErh, and they came with this, I'd be very, very happy. Smell of the empty Gong Bei pretty much reveals what I'm talking about. It's there. There's a smell of sort of, what is that? Savory oat biscuits that starts to move a little bit into that sort of cornmeal grain. It's got a grain note to it. And it still has a little bit of like dark chocolate liqueur. You know those dark chocolates that have like a cherry liqueur or some sort of Kirschen. But it's light, very light. But it's a nice tea. It's got a good aroma. It's like so far above most of the supermarket teas that I get to taste or I have to endure in these sessions, and that is, I think, clear that this is specialist sourcing. They've obviously gone to reputable and, you know, well sourced producers for an Asian supermarket. Score on this. Well, so what is this? This is a ripe PuErh tea. I'm pretty sure it's not another HR. The age on it, I said probably over 4 or 5 years, I would say. This is from Yunnan. This is Daejong. That's the cultivar. It's probably like, you know, yeah, Oolong Monghai blend. And price point on this, difficult. It's been a while since I've looked at sort of price points on these type of more factory produced ripened teas. Oh, but they're usually pretty reasonable because they're producing in large quantities. I'm gonna say somewhere in the region of about 15 cents per gram. Okay. Score, let's check out that scoring. Well, it's definitely above worth reinfusing. It's definitely above stashable. It's definitely above a proper session. Does it quite hit tea head recommended? I'm going to say, just on the basis that it's not quite got much character to it, no, I'm going to give it a 7.8. So a high scoring start for, what was the name of it called? Uwajimaya? Uwajimaya? Oh, I've forgotten. It's written in the scoring system so you can see. Right, let's see what this tea is. Celine has written them all out. So, okay, it's Dai, which is a factory. That's Monghai Tea Factory. So Monghai Tea Factory is one of the oldest tea factories producing ripe PuErh. I believe it was one of the first factories to actually come up with the wet piling ripening process. So we're talking about serious heritage here in terms of the tea. So it's a very, very famous factory. They do like all sorts of teas, from sort of, you know, cheaper blends to more expensive teas, and you would expect this level of good, clean fermentation for a company like that. 2007, so yeah, actually it's older than I thought it would be, but that's testament to its clean finish. Daejong, Yunnan. We don't know picking and processing, but we know it. It's gone through the standard raw ripe PuErh process of picking, withering, firing, sorting, piling, wet piling over probably a couple of months period. There's been blending here for sure to get that sort of nice, easy drinking note. We don't know exactly the origin, so therefore we don't know the elevation. Hey, the price point is excellent. 7 cents per gram. That is an excellent price point for this kind of tea. Very, very happy to drink it, and a great start to this session. Herb, you can have the rest of this third infusion, and we'll move on to tea number 2. Okay, just warming up this guy 1 here, and we're going to see what tea number 2 has in store for us. I have very, very high hopes now for the rest of this session. Let's see what we've got. Tea number 2. Okay, good, good, good. Looks like we've got another PuErh tea. I'm being treated by Genesis. Thank you. This is a raw PuErh again, giving me just enough for a very, very generous serving in my 100ml Guy 1. What do you reckon, Herb? That's looking good, no? So this is a raw PuErh tea. It looks like it's got some age on it as well. In fact, that's relatively dark if you look at it. So I would suggest that that's probably in the sort of 7-year range. Looking good, looking good. Okay, I've already warmed this up. Let's give herb a rinse. And in go these leaves. It is very rare that I will get to have this level of excitement over a supermarket tea. And again, we can argue about whether or not this qualifies. I think that we will have to give this a separate subcategory, and then we're going to start a whole new train. We might have to change our scoring system a little bit as well, because it sort of throws everything out. But here we go. Oh yeah. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. So instant fruitiness coming through. I'm getting lychees. Yeah, very strong on lychee. Very strong on longan, similar. Very strong on a little bit of elderflower coming through. Gooseberries, elderflowers, and then a creamy like taffy candy, so lychee taffy candies. This smells excellent. Oh, very, very fruity, incredibly fruity. Ooh. Huh. High quality. Even if I received this as a sample, my heart rate would be going up a little bit. What am I brewing in? Let's brew in this. Herb, again, gets to taste the entire rinse. You are so lucky, Herb. This is not a standard supermarket tea session. Okay, here we go. Fruitiness dialed down a little bit, disappointingly, but it's still there. I'm still getting very concentrated sort of lychee syrup in the background. I am getting some more incense note. I'm getting a mineral, wintry snowiness about it. I'm getting a very thick aromatic sensation in my nose. I have a feeling that this is going to stick around after I've drunk it. It feels like it's dense, the aromatic cloud in this Guy One. I can't get away from those lychees. That's really, really interesting, because I don't think that I've really noted a very strong lychee note in many raw PuErhs. It surprisingly doesn't have much of the dried fruit note that I would suspect given the look of the leaf. It seems to be older than that. But it's there. I mean, it would be more in the dried cranberry, so it's more of a quite bright, slightly acidic sweet rather than concentrated, deep, pruny note. It reminds me of, you know, like Starburst candies. Very, very bright, very, very lively, aromatic profile. I'm enjoying the smell. Let's give this a good 20-second brew. We're not going to go through, you know, the standard sort of 10 infusions of this. So we want to make sure we get a good feel for it. And don't worry, I will ignore the natural potential downsides of the overbrew. That's something that you get to learn to do when you're doing a lot of tastings. Brewing in our tea lifted Guy One. I think we have a few of these left. But right now it's all about Gong Fu Forever as our Guy One that we're currently selling for these limited edition white Guy Ones. I believe there were a few Stay Loose and Keep Tea Gangsters that I saw in the warehouse, so they may have appeared on the website. They were sort of discovered as we were reorganizing our warehouse. Color on this looking good. Deep golden green. colour of the leaf, looking good. Nice size of the leaf, looks actually a little bit smaller than the dry leaf seems to appear. So I wonder which area of Yunnan this is from. This is definitely a Yunnan raw PuErh tea. Well, I'd be amazed if it wasn't. Maybe Genesis throwing a curveball and giving me some tea from Myanmar or northern Thailand, but I doubt it. Good thickness on the look of the liquor. Bubble is just staying there, not moving. That's going nowhere. Right, cheers everybody. Very excited with this second tea. Again, need to separate the positives and negatives here. Slightly overbrewed, but that's fine. I can cancel that out. And it gives me an opportunity to really taste the tea in terms of its flaws and its good points. Good points. Nice thickness, not hugely thick, but not hugely syrupy, but you know, medium thickness. The taste is, I'm getting fruits, I'm getting the lychee, I'm getting a more adult, sort of not charred wood, but very deep antique woods, which I like. Sandalwood coming through. A little bit of orangey zestiness on the nose afterwards. Sticks around, hangs around in the mouth. Nice vaporous quality. Again, a very nice sipper. I would be very happy to keep drinking this tea. A little bit of toffee. Yeah. Or very dark fudge, but subtle. Overall, a nice, balanced profile. Yeah, now the negatives. A distinct sourness that flashes on the tongue. I find it a little bit, it actually does persist a little bit on the sides of my tongue, and I probably would not select a tea on that basis, that it had too much of this sourness. And the other negative is the finish. The finish, it's a little scratchy, it's a little excessively, persistently dry. It doesn't have much of a transformation currently, and we'll give it another brew. It leaves my tongue feeling a little bit scratchy, furry, it doesn't give me that luxurious Gushu raw PuErh note. I don't know how old these tea trees are, but I would suggest that this is not a Gushu. Let me have a sniff of this empty Gongda Bay. Hard to say. I mean, it does smell like that these tea trees are established. They do seem to, you know, have some, they're not weak garden tea. It doesn't really have a really strong honeyed or, you know, wild smell to the empty Gongda Bay. But definitely good quality tea trees. Probably not. There's something that it reminds me of, and it's in Chinese medicine. There are these dried, I think it's dried prunes, but they're sort of blackened and dried, and they have a medicinal, slightly charred note to them. I'm gonna have to try and look it up, and maybe I'll put a picture in front of my face right now. Yeah, okay, second infusion starting to reveal its aggressive nature a little bit more. Definitely that sourness is not a pleasant thing. I wouldn't be selecting it on the basis of that. It's starting to get a little bit of a sort of ashy, ashtray note. But these are very, I'm judging this as I would judge like premium raw PuErhs, okay? We're still talking about a vastly superior tea to any other supermarket teas that we've tasted in terms of PuErh for sure. So let me just make sure that that's clear. I'm judging it as I would judge, you know, samples set out in front of me. It's got a harsh note, it's got a slightly ashy note, it's got an aggressive mouthfeel, which, you know, I'm not afraid of that aggressive mouthfeel, but it doesn't transform into something pleasant. It leaves a slightly prickly sensation on the tongue, prickly note on the tongue, which I'm not really into. Quite aggressive on the stomach as well, making my stomach gurgle. Quite strong tea. It's a little bit harsh, so I'm going to say that this is not gushu. I'm going to say this is quite a high caffeine, quite aggressive, younger tea, but still decent quality. Yeah, making me burp. Sorry. And yeah, not a fan of that furry, prickly sensation on the mouth. Unfortunately, those lychee and really strong fruity aromas on the nose, wet leaf, have sort of dissipated. I'm going to brew it one more time while I think about scoring, and I'm going to do a light brew on it just to see what it would be like with a very, very short brew. So this is a raw PuErh tea. I don't think it's gushu. I don't think it's from any of the Sichuan Bana areas. It tastes a little bit more like it's got the astringency of further up north in Yunnan. So let's see what a lighter brew tastes like. Herb, you get to taste this as well. Cheers, everybody. No, it's still there. The lychee actually comes through more, but this still got quite an aggressive ashy note to it, which I'm not a fan of, and that sourness is there despite the short infusions. Score on this, it's going to be in the 7s again. This is definitely a proper session. Would I recommend it? No, again, I would say it's not quite up there. I wouldn't recommend you go out and seek this tea. I'm going to give this a 7.6. So very close to the first one, slightly less desirable in my opinion. Shame, because the smell of the leaf was great. Price on this, again, I'm going to sort of go in the 15s to 20s cents. Judging by how affordable the last one was, but I'm not going to let that cloud my judgment. I'm going to say, again, 15 cents per gram. Right. Did I give a score? I did. 7.6. Raw PuErh. Quite aggressive, quite caffeinated, but without any of the very nice, juicy sweetness in my mouth. I'm left with quite a harsh, almost in the acrid notes of a tea. So this is a Dahe Shan. So this is Dahe Shan up in Menggu. So a nice mountain, one of my favorite mountains. 100-year-old tea trees. Okay, yeah, I would say that makes sense. 2010, so 11-year-old. Looks a bit greener on the wet leaf than I would suspect for that age. So it's sort of been aged relatively slowly. Dayejong, Dahe Shan, Menggu. 2,000 meters. Price point is super good. I mean, what is that? That's 5.6 cents per gram. It's an excellent price point for this tea. All right, before we get into tea number 3, I just want to say, and it's probably the subject of another video, but the feeling that I have right now of this this energy and this sort of nervousness and rushiness is a very strong sensation, which some people may term chachi, and it is chachi. It's like a tea energy. But the chachi from these younger tea trees, okay, these are 100-year-old supposedly, these aggressive younger tea tree sort of energy is not something that I find very pleasant. It has quite a nervous sort of queasy sensation. Now, you may have seen videos before where I've said my stomach feels like this is a very active tea, but it has more of a rounded note to it, the chachi. It may be rushy and excitable, but it still sort of has a feel-good, giggly note to it. This is aggressive. It feels quite harsh. And it's the subject of another video, the different types of chachi. But it's been a while since I've had younger tea trees for raw PuErh, and it just reminds me that younger tea trees, not only in terms of the taste and the all of the experience in terms of the thickness and the smell of the empty cup is very different, but the energy is very different as well. Right, let's see what we've got here. Okay, so we're moving quite relieved to say that we're moving to Oolong tea, so this is not going to be as heavyweight in terms of tea energy. This is a roasted oolong. This is a quite deep roasted oolong here. Oh, that last tea really has sent me a little bit doolally. It's harsh. Okay, Herb, you need a rinse, I'm sure, as well, if you feel anything like I feel right now. Okay, let's smell this dry leaf. Yeah, deep roasted oolong. Judging by the look and judging by the smell, it looks like it's a Taiwanese oolong, possibly frozen summit oolong, dongding. You know what? I'm gonna have to stop for 5 minutes because I've got a bit of a headache that's coming from that tea. So I'm gonna come back in 5 minutes. Just let me drink some water because I feel a bit queasy and a bit of a headache. This is not to say that that tea was bad quality in terms of fertilizers or pesticides, etc. It's just that it's very, very harsh. So I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, had a bit of water. It's probably, again, the subject of another video, how to recover from an aggressive tea in terms of chachi. Had some water and just sort of settled, closed my eyes a little bit and let it settle a bit. There are many different types of chachi and I'm not a fan of that one. Let's sniff this leaf now. So this is a deep roasted, I'm gonna say Taiwanese oolong. Although the note on the roast could potentially be a charcoal roast. I'll probably know more once it's been rinsed. It's got a nice smell, a little bit of poached pears, a little bit of a chocolate note, more like cocoa, and just that roast, that char that comes from a deep roasted tea. Let's see how the rinse affects it. I'm still moving towards Taiwanese here. Probably deep roasted dongding, poached pears, poached cherries, a little bit of vanilla, quite a lot of vanilla, dark baked biscuits, vanilla cookies, dark baked. Yeah, poached pears and cherries. Very nice smell. Very nice smell. Again, a good quality tea. Going to give this a nice 25-second infusion, and Herb will get a taste of the first infusion. Ooh, starting to settle now. Just starting to settle. It really sent all the energy up into my head, and I got a headache, and you know, I had that queasy feeling and just felt sort of sweaty, you know, when you feel sort of sweaty on the back of your neck. Just, you know, okay, I'm drinking on an empty stomach, but I always have these sessions on an empty stomach, so it's pretty much standard for me to be drinking on an empty stomach. So that really is no excuse. It is a very, very strong, and so, as I said, some people may really like that, you know, very sort of rushy, speedy, light quality. I've never been into that kind of sensation myself. It reminds me if I've had like a couple of shots of a very strong espresso on an empty stomach or something. So very highly caffeinated. Okay. Here we go. What I think is a Dongding Taiwanese oolong. It could be another. Dongding is sort of a style that people talk about. It isn't really, you know, it doesn't have to come from Frozen Summit Mountain, from Dongding Mountain. It's more of a style like Peking duck, you know, Beijing duck, of a dark roasted tea, and the cultivars can change as well. This could be a Qingxin cultivar, for example. Right, here we go. Mouthfeel. Nice, rounded. Ooh, nice tea, nice tea. I'm going to tell you right now, this is probably above an 8. Good level of roast. Actually smells darker than it is. It has more of a sort of medium to dark roast. I've got to stop saying sort of. I've been editing my videos and I keep hearing myself say sort of. So every time I say it, I've got to check myself. Sorry, that's my inner dialogue. Thick, soft to dry to juicy, fruity, poached pears. A little bit of uni, sea urchin, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I don't mean that in any sort of any maritime, you know, seaweedy note. I mean that in that creamy, a little bit adult iodine note, which I really like in Taiwanese oolongs. Dark baked biscuits, cookies, sweet this time. A fresh note. It is that pear, poached pear, but something even fresher than that. Like, let it settle a little bit. Concentrated raspberry. Very concentrated, yeah. Raspberry candies. Good tea, very good tea. I'm enjoying this one, and it's a welcome respite from the last PuErh hit. Can't remember if Herb got any, so here you go, Herb. A very, very good tea. That dark baked or that baked note is very well controlled. It's not overbearing. A little bit of a toasted cannabis tang to it. Like if it's been vaped, so it's sort of not, see, again. So it's not, I'll stop checking myself publicly. So it's not burnt, but toasted. A little bit of toasted, desiccated coconut. Vanillas, coconuts, herbaceous tang, poached pears, cherry and raspberry taffy candy. Very, very good. Settling my stomach nicely. I like this tea a lot. I'm going to think about a score while I give it one more infusion. So this, I would say, is a Dongding Taiwanese oolong. Its price point, Taiwanese oolong is going to be, again, up there. I would say probably in the 25 cents a gram mark. Ooh, my stomach is still doing somersaults a little bit from that raw PuErh. Score on this. This is above an 8. This is potentially close to a 9. I know. Let's give the third infusion a try. My criticism of it. It tastes a little bit like it's got a storage taste a little bit to it. I also find the finish to be shorter than I would want for Taiwanese oolong with this much flavor and aromatics during the actual tasting experience. I would normally expect after I've swallowed to have a longer finish. It's there, but it's not really very intense, the aromatics that remain. Left with a vague spiced pear, poached pear aroma, not much in terms of sweetness and a little bit dry, but still very high quality tea. I don't think it quite makes the nines. I'm going to give this an 8.7. It's, I think, the highest scoring tea that we've had on supermarket teas. Caveat, this is a specialist Asian grocery store. And therefore, yeah, I would recommend it. Tea Head recommended. I'll put the brand in front of me right now so that you can see what this tea brand is, and you might want to check it out. Nice tea. Nice tea. Let's check the details on this tea. Price point I gave, yeah. Number 3. This is a Dongding. We don't know the season. It'd be a shame. I would like to know the year on that. This is from Nantou, 600 meters, 21 cents a gram. So all good. I think that's a pretty fair and decent price for a quality tea like this. Nice one. Right. So I should know the name of this. Uwajimaya. I think it's Uwajimaya. You got a 7.8, 7.6, and an 8.7. I believe, and that is definitely the highest we've ever had for supermarket teas. Goes to show these specialist grocery stores are going to usually provide better quality teas. Now, we've got a couple of bonus ones here because Ty Loves Tea, who was the last owner of Herb, the turtle, the traveling turtle, sent me a couple of things to try. Sent me a censure. This is, you know, I don't know. I read the letter. There was no pricing on it, so we're not going to include this. But she wanted my opinion, so here we go. I'm not too into the look of this censure. It looks very, very rough, large leaf, not dark, not glossy, not needle shaped. Yeah. No, and caveat as always: if you enjoy this tea, keep drinking it. But the look of this does not really say to me high quality censure. But this apparently was something that she picked up at her local store, so we're going to give this a taste. And then there's a couple of candies that she wanted me to taste, so I'm going to taste those as well. We'll give this a quick rinse. Ooh, color of that liquor does not look particularly vibrant. I would be hoping for a censure to be more vibrant than that. Smell is very dull. Has a very old, quite stale smelling note to it. I would not be selecting this tea for any of my sessions. The color of it looks very, very, I mean, it's got a bright color, but it's definitely muted. It has more of a yellow notes to it than I would want. Brewing with 80-degree water. Yeah. Not sure how you feel about this censure Thai, but I'm not loving the look of this. It's not even Sakura Blossom, which is that aged Japanese green tea smell. It smells like older than that. It smells musty. It smells like sort of relatively poor quality Chinese green tea, in fact. And I wouldn't be surprised if this was actually from China and labeled as sencha. I know no information about it, but I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, for sure. I really don't think this is from Japan. If it is from Japan, then the producers should hang their heads in shame and trot off and do something else. Don't make tea because you can't do it. This really reminds me of Chinese-made imitation sencha, which they've just gotten completely wrong. It's got none of the vibrancy of a sencha. It's got none of the that verdant, you know, awakening, disarming note, that umami and the depth and breadth of flavor moving to that candy floss sweetness. It's got none of that. This is dead. This is flat. This is dusty. This is stale. This is uninspiring, insipid. I mean, I don't even know what to... This tastes like packing material to me. This tastes like... Many moons ago, we used to receive tea from producers, and instead of using like bubble wrap or like, you know, those little void filling pellets in the boxes, they would throw in like really low quality tea, basically packing material. This reminds me very much of that. It's sort of just very old, stale, you know, throwaway tea. This is not good. Scratchy on the throat. This. Ugh. Let me look at the scoring system again. Yeah. Okay. So. Thai. What are you doing to me? It's above poison. It's above bong water. It's above hold your nose. But does it reach the lofty mark of can you call it tea? This is packing material. This is a 2.8. This is really, really, really bad. I would suggest Chinese-made sencha, dry, furry, nasty. Do not like that at all. No. We're putting that aside. Right, what else do I have to try? Oh, we've got a couple of candies here. Okay, Thai is treating us. So we've got this little candy. I don't know what this is. Let's give this a taste. I don't really eat sugar, so this is gonna be a hit on my stomach with that raw PuErh and this cocktail of tea. So I'm just gonna, no, I can't bite it. This is a sucker. Oh, okay. Oolong. Not bad. I'm not a sugar person, but not bad. Has a sort of vanilla-y Tie Guan Yin, Iron Goddess type creaminess to it. Not bad. Excuse me, but I'm gonna just spit that out. That's actually pretty good. I don't mind that. If I was in the need for sugar. And then we got this one here. Oh, chewy. Thai, you are full of surprises. Not as sweet, which I like. Reminds me of grass jelly. You know, if you go to Hong Kong and you get those cubes of grass jelly in drinks, or you eat it on a hot day. I don't know which tea this is meant to be, but reminds me of grass jelly. Doesn't really have a tea taste. And then finally, bizarrely, we got coffee in a tea bag. I don't know, this session is going crazy. I can't believe I'm doing this to my stomach, but let's go with it. Let's take this, give Herb Don't worry, I'm gonna keep drinking that tea. Scores on the candies. I'm not a major candy lover, but I actually think the taste on that one was better, but it was too sweet. 6.2, 5.9. Okay, and now I have no idea what this is, but apparently it's a coffee. Is this instant coffee? Please don't tell me this is instant coffee. Okay, so my relationship with coffee is I do drink it. I'm very lucky that I've got some friends who send me really good coffee. So we're going to see what this does. Okay, I probably need more water, but ooh, that is a weird color. That does not look like coffee. I don't understand what I'm about to be drinking. Any ideas? Maybe Ty, you can write in the comments what this is, but that it's not the most appealing color in the world. It's so light, it's so sort of blonde that I don't quite understand what this is. But I was told in the letter that this is a coffee tea bag. I'm tempted to open this bad boy up and see what's inside here. Okay. Oh, smells malted. Smells like a malted. Oh, weird. It smells like malted. It tastes like malted coffee. But there's something off about that malted note. Again, I hope that I'm not insulting you, Ty, and if you love this, then keep drinking it by all means, but that is really weird. Vaguely feety. You've just you've come back home from a hot day, spent your whole day on your feet, you take off those socks. It's not in the cheesy territory, but it's quite a funky sweat. And combine that with malt powder. And the lightest of coffee flavors that you can imagine. I want to see what this is. This is just bizarre. Yeah, I don't get this. I have no idea what I'm drinking. My brother used to have a iguana when he was very, very young. He used to have an iguana, and the iguana would be fed mealworms, live mealworms. And there's something about this smell that reminds me of when you open up the little plastic container with mealworms. It is not pleasant. It's really not pleasant, and I'm afraid to say that this goes into the 1.3. No. So Ty, if you were planning to get me to do this face, then you have succeeded. If you really enjoy this tea, then hey, to each their own. That's it, tea heads. Make sure that if you want to send over any supermarket tea or any specialist Asian grocery tea, that you mark it on the package so that I don't look at it and I don't open it and Celine opens it, so that I don't know anything about these teas. And yeah, keep sending whatever you want to send. And as you see, I will taste it all for you and and give you my honest opinion. That's it, tea heads. Check out our other videos. Taste our teas wherever you are in the world by browsing mayleaf.com, and come visit us if you're ever in London. Other than that, I'm Don from Mei Leaf. Thank you for being a part of the revelation of true tea. Stay away from those tea bags. Keep drinking the good stuff and spread the word, because nobody deserves bad tea. Bye.